Hey, welcome back to my top 200 games of all time. I've got a list and I can't wait to go over it with you. Number 190 has been in my collection for 4 years. My old gaming group did not like co-op games. My new gaming group, I'm hoping they do. Because Ghost Frightened Treasure Hunters is a gem, man. You are going through the board game, busting ghosts, grabbing gems, and if you have the Creepy Cellar expansion, which you should, you're taking them into the Creepy Cellar and maybe getting a curse. Who knows what you'll get out of that. It is a pandemic-like game where you have to roll the die or to turn over cards to put more ghosts on the board. If you run out of ghosts, you can lose, and there's a few ways you can lose. Or whatever the super ghost is, the ghoul. You don't need the little blue ghost mini expansion if you have the Creepy Cellar expansion, because it comes with the blue ghost, essentially the blue ghost expansion. Fun little, it almost looks like I guess it is in a way a children's game or young adult game or family game, but it never felt like that to me. It just felt like a great game. I had a lot of fun with this. But Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters start off in my collection at number 90. Its debut time, and then it went down to 154 and 177. It went down 13 more spots. It's just hard to get people to play with me. Now, I was with my old gaming group. I basically have a new gaming group now, so I will definitely try to bring out a lot more of these co-op games, and hopefully they'll be fans of them like I am. All right, so my number 189 is enjoying its second year on my list. It actually did move up a little bit. It was 193 before that, so I moved up 4 spots. It is Sherwood Forest. Man, I love Rio Grande games. I think I only have maybe I have 3 games of theirs in my collection. I love those people though. I'll give any of their games a shot, I guess. And some of the games, it's weird. Some of the popular games I really don't like of theirs. But I remember looking at, just going on their website, because I think those guys are super cool. And I saw Sherwood Forest. I went, that sounds interesting. We played it. It's so smart. Worker placement, where you're trying to put workers in different areas to get certain bonuses, or put them across certain areas on the board to intercept the carriages, to rob from the rich to give to you. And the thing is, you do these one at a time, and it behooves you to go last, because then you get to see what the strategies of every other player is. Meaning you can put out more than one person in that area if you wanted to. It's up to you to decide where you want all your men to go. And the first person to finish and put all their men on the board gets a victory point. So it gives you an incentive to place all your men on the board. And that's what happens every time. The first player automatically puts all their people on the board. And it really speeds up the game that way too, which I'm thankful for. Now watch out, because I love this, because there's an area you can go to the end and listen to gossip. I mean, you can flip over the tile and see where that carriage is going. You can also see if it's carrying the Sheriff of Nottingham, because if you encounter the Sheriff of Nottingham, you're going to be in trouble. At the very beginning, everyone has a small gang, so they have to make alliances and team up together to rob some of these carriages. And you can betray your teammate when it comes to the promises shaken on. But no one's done that yet. But I like that strategy is out there and available if you want it. I don't need another Robin Hood game. I'm not going to look for one, because Sherwood Forest is it for me. Like I said, me and my nephews have had a fun time playing this, and my gaming group has had a fun time playing this game. I only wish I could play it more. I don't get to play it that much. It went up 4 spots, which is good, but in my opinion, all these games should be higher on my list. But it earned its spot there at number 189. My number 188, oddly enough, is another co-op game. I have it down here. It's been in my collection for 4 years. It's Kings of Israel. Kings of Israel is a little bit of a ripoff of Pandemic, but it's based on historical events of the many kings of Israel, only 2 of them being good, the rest of them being evil. And so every time you come across one of the kings of Israel, you draw a evil card that is always terrible. And then 2 times or 3 times, maybe at the beginning of the game, you get some good cards. You get to pull from the good card pile. Not that many, but you get to pull a few, which can really help you out in the game. Kings of Israel, when I first played this, I was blown away. I'd played, Pandemic before, and I like Pandemic. You're going to see it on this list later on. But I thought this was better than Pandemic. Well, obviously not now, right? But it is a lot of fun. It can be hard, too. The game's really hard. Instead of virus tokens, you're taking out sin tokens. And instead of a breakout, you're going to get a idol, a golden idol, which is way harder to remove from the game. And you have action points in the game to use, and of course some special abilities to help you out along the way. But Kings of Israel, I know this got a reprint recently, and I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like, because I really enjoy this co-op game where you're moving around trying to get rid of sin. However, we did beat it pretty well the last time around, so I'm going to add little modules like the Thief and maybe even a false prophet or two to make the game a little bit harder. So Kings of Israel, definitely do not pass that one up. If you're into co-op games, you like Pandemic, I think this one's up your alley. Start off on my list at number 57. That's how much I loved it. Then went down to 114 and then 143. It goes down another 45 spots because, again, my old gaming group, it was really hard to get them to play anything that had the words co-op, even around it. And so that's number 188. Well, look at that. 187 is Pandemic. Look at this, the history of this game. This game has been in it since the very beginning of my collection 6 years ago. It was number 22 at one time. It never saw that again. It went down to 62, 87, 154, 184. And this time it only slides down 3 spots because new games are getting in, and new games are getting put on the collection. Pandemic is classic. It's so much fun. We play with all the base expansions now, even State of Emergency. I shuffled in all those terrible events to happen, and we've gotten blown away a few times when we played it, but we did. And I mean, it was a lot of just excellent luck. The moons aligned for us to win that game, because it's really tough when you put State of Emergency, any of those modules in it. It just really ups the ante of that game. But I love Pandemic. For what it's worth, I understand this day and age it takes on a different meaning, and people get all sensitive if I make another pandemic joke, so I won't this year. I just know that it doesn't matter if you wear a mask playing the game either. Bring on the hateful comments. All right, so let's see, number 186. Hey, let's talk about Queen Games. That'll make you happy again. At least it makes me happy. It's got it's been in my collection for 3 years. And World Monuments. I know this is kind of crazy, right? This is a forgotten Queen game. It looks kind of boring. The first part, you're in a way drafting building tokens, and then you're playing those in turn order for victory points. And if you can play on top of another player, you can get even more victory points and really run away with the game. But there is a lot of strategy in what bricks you pick, because if you get leftover bricks that you can't use, you're going to lose points. So it's not about getting the most bricks. It's about getting the right type of bricks and knowing what your opponents are going to do, thinking 3 steps ahead. I do have the little expansion, the little Queenie for this. Not Queenie, it's just an extra board you can play with, which is all right, but you don't need any of that. World Monuments on its own is a ton of fun. In fact, this is the highest it's ever been on my list. It was number 193. Its very first time on the list, then shot down to 237, and now it went up 51 incredible spots to get back into that top 200. Just because now that I kind of got some of the strategy and how different things can be, especially when we're playing with different boards, we've been having a super great time with this game. World Monuments by Queen Games, my number 186. Another big surprise. We talk about games going down a lot. These games all went up here. This is Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist was 226 last year, and I knew when I ranked it low. I realized that when I was doing this went, is that really where I should have put that? No, I should have put it much higher, at 41 spots higher, according to this year. Oliver Twist is great. I love the box it comes in. It looks beautiful. These things were selling for clearance at one time on Miniature Market. I picked up a copy because it looked interesting. It's been a while since I've read Oliver Twist, but I think it follows the books probably pretty well. The artwork's beautiful. Everyone's controlling Oliver as he's moving around the board, trying to collect tokens. You're trying to get sets to either sell on the streets for victory points, or keep some items for the next. They won't give you victory points, they'll give you items for the next round. Every player has a player shield, but there are windows in your player shield. And so if it's set up like a little group of smushed together homes or whatnot, but you have windows throughout your player board, and players are constantly peeking through your windows to see what you have. It kind of goes into that thief mentality, right? You got to scope out the joint before you rob it. And I really love this game. The first half of the game takes place in the daytime, second place at night, where all the tokens are hidden. You don't really know exactly what you're getting at first. And this is where all those worthless tools from the first round come in handy. If you have those, people made a big mistake in our last game. They were gobbling up money points while I was gobbling up as many of the special items for the second round. Now, in the end of the first round, I was in last place, but then I had all these special tokens I could cash in any time on the dark side. I won a landslide. Oh man, it deserves to be in my top 200. It deserves to be higher, but if you can find it for cheap, definitely get it out. That's Oliver Twist. Hey, my number 184 is also experiencing a sophomore season on the list. It also went up. It's like a pocket game in a way. I'm looking at it right over there. It started at 205, and now it's gone up 21 spots. That is the Great Heartland Hauling Company, folks. I saw this one. I said, oh, that's neat, 18-wheelers. But it's in a small box. It's probably not that fun. The artwork doesn't look that interesting. And then a good friend of mine who I trust said, Matt, get it. You should get it. And I went, really? I should get it? You think so? Yeah, you should get it. And I was like, okay, if that's what you think. And I bought it, and I was like, oh, I'm trusting him. And it's a great pick up and deliver game. It's pick up and deliver. You have an 18-wheeler rig that you don't want to get too many goods, get caught with too many goods in your trailer hitch, because if so, you're going to lose victory points. You don't get to decide when the game ends. The game ends when someone hits 50 victory points. But if you're stuck with excess cargo, you're going to start losing some of those points, hardened points, and you may come in second. I've seen that happen. I have seen that happen on more than one occasion when playing this game. For me, myself, Great Heartland Hauling Company is well worth your time. And that's why it moves in to my top 200. And I bet this game is going to keep on trucking up the list. Okay, that's too cheesy. I can't do that. Number 183 has been in the collection for quite some time. Well, actually just 4 years. It's a simple pick up and deliver game called Bombay. Bombay has beautiful pieces, beautiful elephant pieces. You're loading these cubes on, you're delivering them to different cities and getting reward points based on their status in the city. Then every time you visit a city, the status of that good changes. And it's really cool. There's a lot of ways to get extra victory points at the end, and by going to all 5 cities, not just trading in one of your favorite ones that's always paying high. And the game in itself, the game is just, this is a gateway game, I think, especially how the pieces look. My wife loves elephants. I thought she'd love this game, so I got it for her because I think she'd love it. It's pick up and deliver, nothing hard. There's nothing hard about this game. And she just looked at it and went, nope, not for me. Didn't want to play it. But man, if she could play this game with me, it would move back up the ranks. What do I mean by that? Bombay actually debuted at 95. It actually made my top 100 the very first year I got in my collection. After that, I did cool off on it a great bit because it went down to 194, then 202. But it's back up. It's moved back up 19 spots because after playing it again, I'm like, you know what? This game is really elevated in status for me. I can appreciate this game a little bit more. I've come back around to warming up to it. I don't think it'll ever make my top 100 again, but if my wife starts playing it and she likes it, it could definitely receive another big jump because, hey, who doesn't love elephants? My number 182 is also in its sophomore year on my list. It started off at number 170. It's only dropped 12 spots. Most of that, though, is newer games I put on the list. It is Colors of Paris. I love this little worker placement game where you're collecting paint colors, trying to paint or gather and paint these paint cubes on certain paintings to get big victory points. And then the whole game, you only leave one of your workers left on the board, and you rotate the board once every round. So now your worker that you left on the board, the one you did, is at a different location. You can actually plan ahead and keep these workers onto the side as they keep taking these actions again and again. So it's got a smart mechanism to it, and I was prepared to make this one my number one art-themed game. But then my true number one art-themed game came out later on. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to deep six this one. I still love Colors of Paris, though. Don't get me wrong. I will play this game again and again and again. I think it's so much fun. That's why it's number 182 on the list. Finally, number 180 has been on my list for 6 years, since the very beginning. It is the push your luck strategy game of Quartz. Quartz, you're just digging into a bag and hoping you don't get the black crystal. I can't remember what it's called now. Samsonite. I don't know. I was way off probably. But you're trying to dig in and get those jewels. The more jewels, and it's push your luck. You can keep digging and digging and digging, but eventually you'll want to cash out. And over the course of 5 days, whoever has the most money wins. They do have a Disney theme of this called like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think if I would have gotten that, my wife would have played it more with me. But as it is, Quartz is just fun. It is a push your luck game that doesn't overstay its welcome. For 4 years, it was in my top 100 at 44, 50, 58, and 88. Only last year did it drop a big one at 187 because no one's using them that much. It did go up 6 spots on my list because I did get to play it a little bit more this time around, and I have enjoyed it than previous years. But Quartz is just a great game, well worth your time. All right, folks, speaking of time, I'm out of it, so I will see you later with another video.